Hello, welcome to the stream, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Pynl, I'm gonna boost your audio a little bit,
All right.
and let's see. We've also got Goldey2.
Yep, right here.
Hello, and Ian.
Yeah, hey, you can just call me Paris.
Paris. I see. Yes. Okay. Well, welcome to the stream, everyone, and thank you so much for getting back to me and agreeing to be a part of this interview. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and get started with the game. I already know that Mark gave a brief overview on it, but is there anything that you'd like me to know before I give it a try?
It's probably best to go in blind, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, yeah.
Okay. No problem. I will get started on there. Oh, so what engine was this game made in?
Mono game.
Sorry, mono game?
Yeah, it's made in mono game.
Alright, nice. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, there was your request to be referred to as Paris. I'm sorry I missed that in the chat there. Okay, but yeah, so I'll get the game started here. .NET Core. Yeah, sure, let's get that going. Sorry, I didn't realize... run desktop apps, okay, x64. Realize that I need external download.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's people have that problem, but it should work after that. So
okay.
And it's
cool.
not gonna take that long.
Yeah, it's
That's one of the
already
downsides.
done. All good to go. Okay. So, here we go. Got the game running now. Just reduce the volume slightly. And yeah, maybe while I get started on the game, you can tell me a little bit about. Well, first of all, I'll run down the list of who's with it. Is this the entire development team? It looks like. Are we missing?
Yeah.
There are some secondary team members who helped out a little bit along the way, but for the most part.
Yeah, okay, so we've got Goldey here, and you were responsible for some level design and programming. We've got Pynl, who is also responsible for programming as well as level design. We've got ChocolateCollie, who is responsible for also level design as well as the art. And then we've got the composer and audio designer, Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm Goldey2.
Yes, sorry, Goldey2, yes.
Yeah, just so people can identify the voices, we probably should.
Oh,
yeah. I'm ChocolateCollie.
I'm Pynl.
For convenience, you can probably just say Collie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Paris. I hope our voices are distinct enough because I can't really tell.
Oh, that's fine. Dr. Tronic is asking, what is monogame? Well, I can't say, I might have heard of it before. What is the deal with monogame?
It is a game engine. It uses C#, and it's, I think some of the most popular games that use it, I think Celeste is built off of monogame. I can't remember, Pynl, do you remember if Stardew Valley, I think, might have been?
I want to say it was, yeah. I'm not entirely sure, though.
So what is a feature of monogame that made it attractive to you to develop in it?
Well, we used it before in a past game jam, and it's also just we find it just better than Unity in general because it sets us apart from the other games, and the platforming is just generally less janky.
It's a bit more low level. With something like Unity, you have a lot more tools kind of given to you for free, like their own physics engine, and we kind of like to engineer things from the ground up a bit more. One other thing it provides is, but it also handles a lot of the graphics things that we don't want to mess with on the that's a bit too input and the things like that are a bit too low end for something like a game jam.
Also, I think monogame, wasn't it a thing where it could compile in a way where it could be used on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS and all those?
I guess we forgot to do that, huh?
Yeah.
I should build it for Linux and drop that on our page too.
It's apparently cross-platform.
Yeah.
Nice. Alright, so I can bind right now. So this is where I can bind the X position of one thing to the Y position of another. Alright. Oh yeah, Dragonazer is mentioning in chat that Bastion, Fez, and Celeste were all made via Mono Games, as mentioned on their showcase page. I didn't know about Fez. I thought Fez was a completely custom engine.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll go ahead and get started on our interview questions, but anyone who is joining us in chat is welcome to post their own. So how did you decide on what you're going to make for the jam?
Well, I
Okay.
think I
You
remember
go.
we just came together and we saw the prompt and for like an hour and a half we just kind of talked about like the ways we could take this. ChocolateCollie, I think you had an idea that you were really wanting to push. It's kind of a you remember what that was?
I don't.
Linking enemy.
I mostly
Is it a
remember sort of a
combat
soup
thing?
of ideas getting pulled apart and spliced together for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, there was one we had about like kind of stealing enemy abilities with the top-down thing, but we kind of set it aside because design-wise it wasn't as clear. And then I think I had the idea to do something. One of the big inspirations for this game was the video game Braid, right, by Jonathan Blow, and we thought like because we had previously done a 2D platformer, and we were really worried about having enough time to complete this, just because.
You cut
Hello?
out.
You could. Goldey, you there?
Oh, sorry. We decided to pick something we were most comfortable with, like a platformer. And so, Braid became a really big inspiration.
Also,
Yeah.
didn't you say it was specifically like a section of Braid where your X position is linked to like the flow of time or whatever?
Yeah, I think that's the third world of Braid, if anybody's played it. There's a part of the game where your X position is tied to time. So as you move to the right, time goes forward, but if you move backwards, time moves backwards. And it was just such an it's my favorite part of the game just because of how counterintuitive some of the interactions are. And I love how the player can kind of get to know those interactions. And by the end of the section or the world or whatever, you're using those rules in more abstracted ways to solve more complicated problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely remember getting stuck on a lot of problems in Braid because the complexity is built up really quickly, and I feel like that's going to happen to me shortly in this game as well. So we'll see how much I can get through it.
I think it is nice though how with our game, if you are a little bit stuck, you just kind of keep linking stuff and try new things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing we intentionally designed was, we didn't want to make a puzzler that was super complicated because some of the things like Braid goes into are a bit more, in depth than what we want to do for, a jam game, right? So
Yeah, we had like a lot of like really complex ideas originally. Like in the first couple of hours, we were thinking about like doing velocity, and then like I think like gravity too or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up just going with like 3 different variables that you can connect together, and one of them hasn't been revealed yet, so no
Right.
spoilers yet.
It's kind of a balancing act between like putting in enough mechanics where it's fun and interesting, but also like keeping it from being so complex where it's just incomprehensible.
It would have been fun though to do like velocity maybe at some point. Like
Yeah.
that would have been like a almost
yeah,
like
that was one
mathy.
discussion we had earlier on because when you connect two things up, there's a lot of questions that came up as we designed the game. Like, I think there's one talk Jonathan Blow gives where he says like, as he began designing Braid, a lot of puzzles just sprang out of nowhere that he wasn't expecting once he started actually implementing these things via code and playing around with them, right? And we found something similar happen when we started implementing things are like, okay, what exactly is getting synced up here, right? Is it just the position? So if one thing moves left, something moves with it, or like, is the velocity conserved between the two? Like, what's going on exactly under the hood, and how does that create behavior that the player can then observe and think about?
Okay. Yeah, I realize how the actual linking of like where you start actually matters. It's not that two things are linked absolutely. It's that one is strictly influencing the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and that's something we needed to establish very early on in development. That like, because if we did it any other way, it would be a very different game.
Yeah, breaking connections falls under that as well.
Oh yeah. That was something we realized. Oh, we haven't actually implemented a way to break connections, but we found that like if we did implement that, my theory is that we'd have situations where like the player could just precisely maneuver themselves into weird situations and break a lot of puzzles. So
yeah, it
like,
would definitely make a lot of the existing levels solvable in very unintentional ways.
basically trivial, just by like taking tiny steps.
And it would also make things a lot more complicated for the player as well. It's more stuff to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was actually kind of hoping I could do that for this exact puzzle, because I'm like, oh, I can just push this block over, and then break. If I could break the connection, then I could push the block back and then reestablish the connection, push it over. So I'm definitely stuck on this one, but I'll keep trying new things until I hopefully come up with a solution here. What was your development process like for the game? This is not the biggest team that I've spoken to, but still quite a large one overall. Well, I'd say sort of medium size, maybe.
The development process was rather impromptu. I mean, let's see, we kind of just made a little GitHub repository where I put our code, and we just knew there were a bunch of different systems that need to get implemented, and just kind of tackled it one by one. I think Goldey and I were probably the main ones doing the programming stuffs there. I mean, also like for Collie and Paris, what was the development like on your side?
Yeah, I know. Me and Pynl just really quickly wanted to get to doing code stuff, so I told ChocolateCollie, just do whatever you want with the aesthetics of this, and we can implement it in code when it's ready later.
One difficult part of the development process for us is that we don't really have like a designated level designer. We all contributed levels to this, or myself and Pynl and Goldey all contributed levels, and since we're all working on other major aspects of the game up until the part where we do have to implement levels after we have all of our mechanics established and working, it sort of became this rabid sort of last-minute rush to all contribute levels and play test them and make sure they work.
Yeah, that was almost a disaster. Like, oh my god.
We could have organized that part
That's
a little bit better.
it's definitely
I remember,
a large part of the battle.
So the last the true first game jam we ever did a year ago, we did one. Pynl wasn't part of this, but we did made a different kind of platformer for a game. And the first release we pushed for the jam, we were running out of time, and it was like 20 minutes before the deadline, or actually it might have been at the deadline. It was like very close, but we uploaded a build and we played it and realized that all the spikes were invisible, right? Because I had changed something last minute in the code I shouldn't have. So we had to go back real quick, and like just in time we got a build without that. But it was like, it gets intense once you're down to the last few hours, and it's like, you're just patching tiny bugs and hoping you don't break the whole thing.
I do think we tackled it with like overall good principles, though. Like, we were really angling to get that minimum viable product out as soon as possible, because we did anticipate that, like, oh, we're going to need some more time to do level design and stuff, but yeah, there was a lot to program, so like even getting that minimum viable product so we were ready to design levels, that did take a little while.
I think definitely the way to do these is hope that you're on pace and act like you're not on pace at all.
Yeah, like maybe Goldey and I should have like stayed up a little bit a little bit later on that night before the last morning, just trying to like get it to a point where we could just design levels and slam that out, you know?
Well, I think I did get it to that point more or less. I think we had an issue the last night where there was some
This is a really
communication
clever way of
confusion with the
solving a
level
puzzle.
designers.
I haven't
Oh
seen
my God,
anyone
wait.
solve it this way.
What?
This is really clever.
I'm just
Wait,
so
wait, that was
frustrated.
Oh, you found a second way to beat it. Oh my god.
Well, what he's doing is the mushroom is pushing the crate, and then since the mushroom can push the crate back to the right, you can sort of continuously push the crate farther to the left.
Wow, I didn't even think
my
about
God.
that. Yeah, the intended solution here is definitely to hook both the enemy and the crate to the. You know what? I bet because when Mark Brown played
That's
through
what
this, he
Mark
said this was
did.
the most clever puzzle, one of the most clever puzzles he'd seen in the whole jam. I bet he found the same solution here.
Oh my
Because
god.
you're the one who designed this puzzle, ChocolateCollie.
You know, it's ironic how like when Collie was first designing this puzzle, he was telling us like, oh, you need to make the events propagate through the entities, but it's like the fact that you were able to do that really cool solution was actually a consequence of the fact that we didn't implement it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
We should have added a level that actually uses that.
Yeah.
Unintentionally clever. That just.
Yeah, I mean, I just kept like trying different things, and I was like, man, it's gonna be, anyone in chat who's watching along, I hope that they're getting as stuck on this as I am, because this is just gonna be really frustrating to watch. And then I was like, you know what? Here's a thing I haven't tried yet. I'm just gonna keep trying different things, and then like, well, if I just keep pushing it, like, oh look, oh there it goes through the floor. Whoops, goodbye.
Right. I think experimentation's part of the design process that we want to bake into these things, right?
Mhm.
Like we wanted to make sure resetting was quick and that it was really easy for the player to iterate, and that we started with bite-sized chunks that the player could just kind of trial and error their way through.
Nice.
I think if people can solve your puzzles in unintended ways that aren't super janky and weird, I think it's a win. I think it's a win for both parties.
Yeah.
I do think
this
it's
game's
funny.
doing like.
Oh, go ahead.
It's kind of like.
Go ahead.
Oh. It's like inherently like a game that I guess rewards experimentation. Like even like we weren't really like thinking about it like in particular and like during our design process about like how to make sure that the player like feels like they're in control, but that's kind of just what ended up happening, I think.
The funny part, ChocolateCollie, is that the unintended solution he used is kind of more formally tested in this level. I won't spoil it yet, but something similar to what you did on the last level actually comes into play, like in an intended puzzle, the level after, which is a funny design coincidence, I guess.
I guess so. It's not like intuitively that case, though. I don't think.
Well, when I first saw this puzzle, I was like, oh my goodness, ChocolateCollie, what did you design? But then I realized there's like a really clever and easy way to get through it. It's nothing, not nearly as scary as I first thought it was.
Yes, I think I'm figuring out what I'm supposed to do. I'm just having trouble remembering to execute on it properly. But we do actually have a question coming in from chat from Zero Iguana, which is, how did you manage to divide up the workflow amongst yourselves?
Well, we kind of know each other's strengths really well. I think it's important for your team, like, ChocolateCollie is very good at art and everybody else is pretty trash at it, right? So, we need to make sure that we are overworking ChocolateCollie and making sure that, when possible, everything else, like, miscellaneous stuff like finding sound effects and that kind of stuff goes to people who aren't as busy at a particular time, I guess.
Right. It's done through a lot of communication, just sort of all the time.
But in general, like, we've found the best way to organize is sometimes just, use a Discord server. We've tried, some other tools like Trello, but I think for a jam, as long as you're, also one thing we did was, have set a time, like, okay, 2 hours from now, everybody come back from focus mode, and we're going to talk about, like, what's come up since we last spoke, right? And having those check-in points to kind of, regroup and remember see how everything's going. I think those are really helpful for keeping perspective and keeping pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's nothing to like. It's nice to use some kind of task tracking tool if you have like, but it really helps if everyone can just sort of like, if a team is small enough and your roles are distributed enough that it's like everyone can just be working on their own thing. You can sort of trust like, okay, well, we know we need this art, but we'll trust the artist to take care. Like we know we need some sort of tile set. We'll trust the artist to worry about the particulars of that tile set. We know that we need this kind of enemy behavior. We'll trust the programmer is going to implement it in a smart enough way that it's going to know that it needs to turn around when it hits a ledge or whatever. We don't have to spell everything out in exhaustive detail.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Just having
Yeah.
a team that is pretty well versed with just like game design in general is very important, just so everybody's kind of on the same page. Like once everybody kind of gets on board with the idea, everyone should more or less like know where they're going.
Mhm.
Oh boy. I really, yeah, there's some very creative levels at play so far, and I'm hoping that I can showcase as much of this game as possible. But just in case I don't, then I will post the link in chat. I'll do it again at the end, but in case anyone else wants to try to play along, because I realize I'm kind of, as is the nature of any puzzle game, kind of giving it away, even if it takes me a while to get there sometimes.
Did we get any bumps while dealing with the mechanics? Question in chat.
Pynl mentioned this earlier, but we had a discussion about, okay, so like, besides what exactly are we syncing between objects? So like we decided in the end, we're literally just going to look at when an object moves, we just sync that movement to another object, right? Another question was, okay, well, if you have a connection, say you connect the player to a crate and then that crate to a platform, is it kind of transitive in that way, right? When the platform move, or when the crate moves, does that move the platform in turn, even if it wasn't directly pushed at all? And what we ended up deciding on was no, because we figured out like there was going to be a lot of issues. Say if you hooked up the player's X to a platform and then the X back, you can imagine the player would just gain infinite speed immediately, right? Because it would just the speed would just build up between the two, and
It's a feedback
we would just run into a lot of situations where you would get out of uncontrollable behavior.
Yeah. And I tried to be sort of clever about that with this one by like feeding the X into the Y into the X, and the X back into the Y, but
Doesn't propagate like that, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been something.
Yeah, it would have been weird to design for. I think that was the right design decision we made to do it, but it would definitely be interesting to like explore if we maybe just had like one object that sort of acted like a transitive buffer or something. I don't know, it could have been interesting.
There were a lot of those just like semantic decisions though, you know?
Yeah, especially on your side, Pynl.
Yeah. I was actually like the one who mainly designed the whole system that allows the different objects to communicate their properties. It's like, your object will sort of like emit changes to its property to an event stream, and then other objects can pick that up and stuff, and that is where a lot of those sort of, semantic design decisions came in, like how exactly we're going to handle all of those communications.
I do appreciate people giving me hints in chat, but, please do try to let me figure it out on my own, because it is the only way that I'm going to be giving good playtesting feedback to the developers if I have to challenge myself to figure things out. So, like I said, I appreciate the hints. I know that you're just trying to help me to see more of the game, but once I see it, it kind of spoils the effectiveness of the feedback that I can be giving.
One other thing to mention while we're here is that you are playing a post-jam version of the game. There was a build a little earlier that was actually submitted to the jam. All we did was add a few levels here and there, polish up a little bit of quirks around physics and things that were a little annoying for players who played it during the jam. But by and large, we kept things more or less the same.
Wait, what just happened?
I-
Wait, what just happened?
Previous level?
Is that not the solution? Because that's what I did when I played it.
What did you do?
It's like you connect the enemy's X to your Y, and then you get a jump boost.
I. That is not at all the.
Okay, well,
Oh,
I
gee, I
should
don't
have.
even know how we'd fix that in level.
You know, I think you earned it.
Yeah, I was the designer of that level. That is that one's on me.
Yeah, I had a
Because I
feeling.
thought that was the intended one.
You know, I had a feeling that was not the intended solution, but just happened to work out. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
maybe we'll push a new build. Maybe we won't. I don't even know how I'd prevent that. Maybe we could like ChocolateCollie, we could tie the win yarn to the enemy, maybe, so you have to physically get it over to you.
Be cool, yeah.
Sorry, it
We
seems
haven't
like
tied the win condition to anything yet, is the thing. So
Yeah, we do. No, I'm pretty sure Pynl put in.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, this is something they actually did. We just never did it. You just can't. What we're talking about is connecting things X and Y to the win yarns X and Y. We have the capability to do it. We just never found a reason to do it. But wait, we might do it on that. Might be an interesting way to de-cheese that last level.
Goldey apologizes on this level's behalf.
Yeah, ChocolateCollie does not like this level a lot, but what this level is kind of teaching the player is a little quirk of how the game works. Because imagine if two objects have downward velocity because gravity is affecting them. If you do nothing else but connect the Y of one to the other, one is actually going to be affected by gravity twice and fall faster than the other. And so we wanted to make a level that kind of taught the player that.
Yeah, that's generally our level design philosophy for this
Oh,
game.
first try.
Oh, perfect.
No.
We
All right,
we
and
kinda-
now we see the little hidden third mechanic that's
Oh,
hidden
yeah,
a little
here we are.
deeper in the game. I'm glad you got to see this because this is where it starts getting interesting, in my opinion.
oh, just now.
Look at that.
I gotta be honest, in that first level, I kind of guessed that the solution was going to be something like that, and then the execution of it just kind of happened to work out. Like, I got it wrong the first time, like, okay, so let me try the other way around, and it just sort of worked. And then it's always funny, the audio on the stream is a little bit delayed, but on Discord it's instantaneous, so I'll complete a level, and then you'll still be talking for 10 seconds, and then people will start reacting like, oh wow, my god, you did it, and it's like, yeah, there it goes. Which is why I'll just kind of do nothing on a new level at first to just sort of give everyone a chance to react to what just happened. But yeah, so I think we are still technically on my question about the development process. So did you have anyone else wanted to give their insight onto that?
I think the main way we design levels, at least me and myself and Goldey, is that we would kind of think of some interesting quirk or a trick we could do with the mechanics we have, and then sort of design a level that is somewhat of a showcase of that trick, and then make it so that the level has to be solved with the player figuring out what that trick is. And that way you kind of teach a little bit something, a little bit of a new thing to the player with each level. It might be a mechanic they didn't really understand as much before, or it might be an interaction that wasn't clear to them before. But it kind of adds a tool to your tool belt for understanding the game with each level. That's kind of the goal.
Right, and to reference back to Braid, there's a great Mark Brown video about how it's Jonathan Blow kind of self-describes his design process as something very similar, right? And when we set out to design something kind of like Braid, we kind of adopted that same kind of mindset where we wanted to create levels that just kind of explore the space of, okay, we have these components, what happens when we put them together in weird ways?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea of introducing the player to one mechanic at a time, to sort of ensure that they have to use that mechanic and that they properly learn it before moving on to the next level is really valuable. All right. Well, if anyone has any questions in chat, please feel free to post them, and I will pass them along. But in the meantime, can you recommend a useful shortcut or a clever hack in the monogame engine that you think would be useful to others? And that applies to the developers, but then also in a similar vein, I will ask Paris if you have any recommendations for the audio design side of things, and I will ask Collie if you have any recommendations for the art side of things.
Who's going first?
Oh, sorry. I guess let's start with the monogame question, then we'll go in the order that then audio, then art.
I guess Pynl would probably be the best one to answer this, but we kind of used an event sending and receiving system for, when you actually create a connection, creating that bridge between the two. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I don't think that's really monogame specific, though. I mean,
well, it's a game design thing in general, or just a good programming hack, I would say.
Programming-wise, I think that's referred to as like the event pattern. It's not really particular to monogame, though. I guess a nice thing about C#, which is what you use in monogame, is that you can like manually configure the getters and setters of different properties, and that was largely what allowed me to make your different properties be like event controlled, sort of. So yeah, I guess that is one nice thing about like.
One thing. Oh, sorry, Pynl.
No.
But something I just thought of something that would actually be for like specifically for monogame. I remember ChocolateCollie, we showed you an early build of the game, and you're like, why does it look so fuzzy? Right, this looks terrible, right?
Oh yeah.
So I looked at the code, and it turns out there's like a little like a specific method you need to call when you call the draw function, and that actually makes it so that when scaled up and everything, the pixel art stays like nice and sharp, right? Instead of becoming weird and resized and fuzzy. If I don't remember the exact line of code that is, but just take a look at the monogame docs and read up on the how you initialize the draw methods and that kind of thing, because there's a lot of really cool shaders and tools you can apply there to not make your game look like crap.
It's still beyond me how you guys didn't notice that.
It's just like an
anti-aliasing or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just that. That's not a major issue, but there's definitely a big difference.
Oh, Lucretius is asking, was it the filtering like linear interpolation versus cubic to nearest?
Yeah, I think it was something similar to that, but I think it actually had to do with how, because we actually need to scale up the game from like native resolution where it's like everything is 1 pixel, like one pixel to graphical scale, and you kind of need to scale that up or down with like a matrix thing, and I think it had something to do with how we were rounding that. If anybody's interested, I can take a look at the like exact line of code if anybody has the problem again, but it just goes back to the old programming saying sometimes you just gotta Google it and see like, why is my monogame rendering fuzzy? And sometimes, and when you have such a short time in a game jam, like, what else are you gonna do?
Was that the intended solution? Because that seemed a little weird.
Close enough.
Yeah, the idea there is that you had to link it to your Y position while you were on top of that little ledge on the platform there, so you could just kind of inch the health down a little bit so you can get through before it encased you.
Linking your X to your Y works too, though. It essentially does the same thing because it pushes you upward, which gives you and then linking the Y to the health gives you more room on that wall's sort of death timer there.
Oh, I didn't even know that was possible without the ledge.
It's essentially the same solution.
Oh, ChocolateCollie, why didn't you tell me that earlier? I didn't even know that worked without the ledge.
I don't know. I think it's a good thing that there's multiple ways to solve these levels.
I think that's how I solved it. I forgot already, but
yeah,
Did I complete this level the right way?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's also like another callback to like how events don't like propagate through multiple properties. That's like another consequence of it, how you can solve it like that.
ChocolateCollie, we should have made that the intended way to solve the level. That's really clever.
Yeah.
I like both ways. Both ways is better.
Yeah, I think that was one thing, like, because I couldn't figure it out looking at just the level, so I added that ledge in there, so it'd be possible anyways. But there's always it's surprisingly deep mechanic wise. It always surprises me when we get to see people playing through it.
This is arguably the most difficult level, so we might have a little bit of time here. But to move it forward, I think it's some audio tips next.
Yep.
But yeah, and by the way, we're making this open source, right? Just to confirm.
Yeah, we did decide today that we are gonna maybe not today exactly, but once we kind of clean out any confidential information, we're gonna this thing will be available open source on GitHub, and anybody can see how we put this together. So check the page on itch.io a little later, day or two from now, and there should be a link to that if anybody's interested to see the specifics on the coding stuff.
Yeah, I added a comment on every line of code that has my social security number, so we gotta delete all of those.
Yep.
But okay, yeah, we're gonna put that on GitHub at some point. So if anyone's interested, it'll be there.
Nice.
But for the audio, let me think. So what I did actually, because I might post some behind the scenes screenshots on Twitter or something later, but what we did for it was for the first day, I was just thinking of ideas. I didn't actually have a good idea until the second day. So
yeah, I remember you would just post things you're trying in chat and just, does this sound good? Does this fit the theme of the game or whatever? And we all just give you feedback whenever you.
Yeah, but like we said, it was mostly doing stuff independently. And what I do for when I compose stuff, I just try a bunch of things. I just play my keyboard for a little while and then see if I get an idea. And that's basically what happened. I just messed around and then had this thematic idea of joining together different rhythms and melodies and stuff. And that's why there's two different genres, I guess, in the main theme. And then I guess I basically had that done. I don't actually remember, but it was the second night, I guess. And that was the night before it was due, I think. And then we basically spent the last few hours on sound effects, and then we implemented them really last minute. And
yeah,
the
we
audio...
didn't get implemented. No, so I implemented the sound effects. I don't think you were up at the time, but I implemented the sound effects the second night too. I think there was just some debugging because there were some weird sound issues. We had to debug at the last second, and that wasn't any fun. But we had to get it figured out more or less. I think there was one small patch we had to do for a few things, a few sounds that got played, and if the player died, they would just repeat the death sound a bunch. We had to fix that in the post.
Still in there, yeah. So for the when the player death sound is actually the only one that I recorded. I took a pair of scissors, I snipped it, then I slowed it down in Audacity or something.
Really? I didn't even know that.
And then I just put a low pass filter so you wouldn't hear the static in the background. There's a lot of background noise in my room.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But for the rest of the sound effects, they were made in SFXR, which is basically, it was created for Ludum Dare, I think. And it kind of just makes the sound effects for you some of the time. You hit randomize and it makes it for you. That's the jump one and when you hit the enemies, I think. And the rest of them, I think this was Collie's idea to make them kind of musical. And in the post, I mean in the jam build, it was not really that good because you couldn't really hear sound effects over the music, but we fixed it in the post jam one, so you can actually hear it.
I gotta say, it is really cool having a talented musician on the team while we are working on the game. I myself, I find it much easier to work when I have some music that especially fits the theme of what I'm doing, something I haven't heard as much before. I don't know. There's a lifespan to every song, and it's really helpful for motivation and for morale when we have some music being composed and sort of changing and getting better as we're working on the game.
Yeah.
I still think the favorite one that you've composed, Paris, is the back in when we did the last game jam foe. We had one. This didn't even end up in the game or anything, but we had an area called Eternal Terrarium, and the theme for that was just so good.
I am gonna remaster that again at some point. I probably am. I already did like a post jam version of that, but I'll make a post jam.
Remastered. Are you planning on doing a remastered version of any of the ones for this Threadbound?
I don't know. Maybe not like in the near future, but maybe like in a few months' time, right? If we ever come back to this game for like a full release or something.
Also, I gotta say, Collie, you're saying like it's really cool having a good composer on the team, but speak for yourself, man. It was great having like a good artist on the team. You know?
Yeah, you don't need to be playing with dev art.
Yeah.
It's so nice when you just have, oh, here are the sprites. Oh, they're already in the file where they're supposed to be, and I can just reference them via code. I don't have to like. It was just so nice when it was just already there, and I could just. That's another thing that Monogame makes real easy is loading textures and stuff and just using them. Yeah, and it was kind of nice also from previous jams having a few tools to work with animations and that kind of thing. Just simple little scripts to speed up that side of things. We were able to get things looking pretty good pretty fast, which is nice.
Well, on that topic, I would also like to say it's really cool having programmers work on the game while you're making the game. Because without that, there's no game to play.
There would literally be no game.
So the game is much better with the programmers, I would say.
Yeah, it's nice having a team.
Gotta wait, 36 hours into the jam to actually start designing stuff.
So how did the art side of things go then, Collie?
I mean, generally, the formula here is that we come up with a mechanic, and we're going to need some sort of unique stuff for the GUIs and for maybe screen overlay, whatever, screen transitions. But for any puzzle platformer like this, you're going to need a player with animations, a tile set, a background, potentially some menu buttons, and just whatever else you need to decorate it with. So those are all givens. I could basically start on those right away once we had an aesthetic decided on. And then some of the stuff that is more specific to the game's mechanics itself came a little bit later. One thing I will say, just as a general tip for doing jams on the art side of things, is that tile sets are easy to work with aesthetically for making a lot of games. Like, you see a lot of tile-based games in these jams, and what people feel like they're obligated to do when they want to make a nice-looking tile set is that they need to make the sort of tile set that just sort of has an edge in every possible configuration, right? So, like a bar in each direction, an end to a bar in each direction, the four corners, a middle bit, inverted corners, and that's a lot of tiles. I think a complete one is like 21 tiles or something ridiculous. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've made a perfect tile set like that. But it's just a pain to do that in level design. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot more tiles than you need. So if you look at Threadbound here, I have bricks, and these bricks are literally just 2 tiles each, and that is basically one brick made up of 2 tiles, and then a 1 block brick that is
just like a few edges,
sort of edged on all sides, is all you need to make like a pretty good looking aesthetic platform or wall or whatever with only 3 tiles, right? So something you got to remember is that you're not limited to working with the sort of generic every possible edge tile set, and there's a lot of choices when it comes to tile set semantics. And
Yeah,
if you're creative about it, you can save a lot of steps and get some pretty good looking levels much faster.
Yeah, like what he's drawing out right now is what not to do, right? Like this is generally how you design tile sets, but a lot of times you can get away with a lot less than that.
Yeah, exactly. You're not obligated to get all of that done. You can do much less and still have a pretty good looking setup.
Maybe just have like yeah, I know you've always been like a proponent, ChocolateCollie, of having like kind of creative kind of tile sets, which is always really cool because it makes the game stand out when it's not all just square blocks and whatever.
By
but
that
I
he
think
means that in the last game jam we did, I made some tile sets for the areas that were incredibly convoluted and only I understood.
yeah, that was not well. Either way, usually we have to get specifically you to do the like decorating of the levels. Like me or Pynl will put like a really bad looking one together really fast just to get like mechanically what it should look like, and then
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
send it off to you and you'll make it look pretty.
Yeah, that was the process. Like whenever I was making levels, because yeah, I think Collie has a pretty good sense of aesthetic design there that I didn't have the time or patience or whatever for.
Same.
It's pretty easy. I can take like basically. I mean, the way I do this stuff is that I have a tile set that I sort of design. That. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. I have a tile set that I sort of design that I keep in mind that I need to apply it to any sort of configuration of tiles and any sort of aesthetic organization of the elements in a level. And then once I have all of those tiles nailed down, sometimes I'll go back, in post and add some more tiles so that I can fill out niches of like tile configurations I wasn't thinking of before. But generally after that, I just sort of have an algorithm I can apply to any organization of level elements and like platforms and stuff, and I can just sort of mindlessly fill in. Okay, so I have an open space here. I'm going to put the gray bricks on the bottom of the top, and then I'm going to put the edged walls on either side. And then once I have all of the edges filled out for the open spaces, I can just fill in with the decorative gray bricks and the tan bricks on the sides, and then I'm done.
Right. Oh, also someone in chat mentioned like what tile setting program. We used a tile setting program called Ogmo. It's by the people who made Celeste, and we've used it for both game jams, and it's great. We love it. So maybe check out a tile setter. Definitely works too. I haven't used that particular program, but Ogmo is nice, free, and
Ogmo in conjunction with Monogame makes the whole
yeah.
system pretty streamlined.
If you are using Monogame, definitely try, or really anything. It exports as JSON files, so you can use whatever you want. But we found that Ogmo was really really helpful for us.
And a fun fact, Collie uses Paint.net to make all the art. Like,
it is just fine for pixel art.
Honestly, like,
I don't know why you don't use ASAPRite or something.
Like,
I'm used to Paint.net now.
We've had this conversation many times.
You don't need to have a whole lot of fancy art tools to do pixel art. I mean, that's one of the great things about it, is that it's so approachable. As long as you just have a few basic tools that basically any art program will provide, except the garbage fire that is Microsoft Paint.
Don't use Microsoft Paint ever.
One day I will
challenge you to use
like
that.
ASAPRite, but
use MS Paint for the next jam.
I love how, like, in some kind of attempt to make Paint like look better, they added this kind of like subtle blur on the brush tool, and that just made it so that if you try to fill an area, it just looks like complete trash.
It's user friendly. Oh, by the way, transparency doesn't exist. Alpha is... it's not real.
MS Paint.
Yeah, you gotta use Alpha for it to make a game, people.
New jam idea, MS Paint Jam. I'm sure that exists. Someone's made that, right?
Almost certainly one of the entries to this jam, probably many of them had their art made in MS Paint.
Actually, I have a challenge. Use Excel for the next jam.
Excel as the art program?
Yeah, like you can just fill in the cells, make them all square.
I'll just fill in the cells for pixel art, and then I'll just take like a snipping tool.
I'll pay you
of it.
if you do that.
That's a brilliant idea.
Oh, I mean, like now with the new is there a lambda function? Like they added something to Excel to make it Turing complete, so it's technically possible now.
Make a
Huh.
game in Excel. What you can
Yeah,
do
just
with
write like a
that.
plugin for Excel.
I actually tried to do that
Just
once.
do.
It was like another random. Well, only ChocolateCollie is going to understand this, but another random Catan spin-off. This one takes place in a spreadsheet.
Wait, I think I remember that. I swear.
Yeah, I think
do.
I called it spreadsheet or
I
something.
can't spreadsheet. It's like there was like campfires all over.
I'm getting
Yeah,
I'm
but I
getting
think
a
I-
slight feeling that we're not quite on the interview topic at this time.
Okay, true.
Oh, that's
what
fine.
was the last interview question?
We were still just talking through, Polly, if you had anything further to say about the art, any other like tricks or shortcuts you'd recommend?
I think that's about it. When it comes to player animations, there's a lot of things you can do for walk cycles and stuff that do not involve moving legs.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to do that, this game would look a lot worse, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's why you have long robes for all the keys.
Yeah.
Robed characters.
One day I'll branch out.
It's like there's only eyes. Just need eyes and robes.
Like I'm completely familiar with that.
Yeah.
There we go. Little mage character running around. No legs to have to animate.
Or hands. Don't do hands.
Hands are okay. You can do hands. Like and
Yeah.
if you look at any of the walk cycles in this game, well, it's not even meant to be a game. This is a tile set that I developed that I've released as an asset pack. But here we go. We got slimes bouncing up and down. Any character that walks has like a 2 or 3, maybe 4 frame walk cycle for like moving around. They just kind of shimmy.
Yeah, there's always a lot of art to get done, so you really just want to make it as easy for yourself as you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's absolutely a good idea. All right. Well, so I think we can move on to our actual next interview question then, which is, what are your plans for this game going forward? You mentioned that you're going to make it open source, but other than that, any other plans?
We were shocked at how well this ended up doing. We did not expect, we got on the thumbnail, ChocolateCollie was definitely not expecting to have his art on the thumbnail of the.
This is my first game jam.
Yeah, this is the rest of us' second, right? So this is way better than we reasonably expected to at all, and yeah, we're kind of shocked that, but we're really happy people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
But it really was a shock watching. We definitely did not. We weren't even sure if we're going to get in the top 100, much less top 20. Unbelievable.
It's a hard thing to gauge when it's you don't have any access.
Yeah, you just never know.
You don't know how many really awesome games there are out there.
And there were a lot. I played a lot of good ones.
Yeah,
a lot of good games this year. I remember he showed it briefly in the video, but there was one called what was it called? Function composition or something? That might have just literally been
function conjunction.
Function conjunction. Oh, I liked that one. That was one of my favorites in the jam. Also, Puzzle Sigma definitely deserved their top 20 spot. Those are two of my favorites, just because definitely more of a programming math kind of guy. But
you can see me stumbling through Puzzle Sigma, not being able to do the mental math on it while trying to talk to the developer. I've got an archive highlight of that one from a couple days ago.
This level involves some tricky timing and stuff. Should we maybe, because the level after this is really awesome.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
I want to get to that one.
Close.
It's the thing that I'm stuck on, admittedly, is that I can't even tell if the thing that I'm trying to do is correct or if I'm just executing it on it incorrectly or at the wrong time.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's definitely why this is the hardest level in the game, because you kind of need to combine a lot of things from the last few levels.
I think one problem here is that you solved the previous level sort of very quickly without having a plan for it. and that level is really integral to understanding what to do in this level.
Yeah, we didn't even have the last level. We didn't even have that in the original jam build, and we added it in just because
it made this level a little bit smoother to understand. What you
Yeah.
did in the last level, like the intention with the last level, what it was wanting to teach is that mushroom guy has like a binary health value. His health is all the way full or all the way empty in most of his interactions. And so he gives you a way of going from 100% health to 0% health. And what you did in the last level is
Okay.
basically teleport the box to the left by changing the health value that quickly.
Yeah, that
that's
was
what you need for this level as well.
that was something we decided up from the front as well. We had to make the screen square, right? Because we wanted to make sure that like the coordinates kind of mapped onto like, and you know, when you have a health bar, that actually maps onto like the world coordinates, right? So it's not just a health bar is 0 to 100. It's like 0 to 100 and kind of like in proportion to the entire scale of the world, right?
Well, kind of. The full mushroom health bar, Goldie, is like half the screen. Half the screen's worth.
Wait, really? We didn't make it the
Yeah.
whole?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought we did it the whole screen. Why wouldn't it be the whole screen? I guess it kind of makes sense if there's a negative portion of the health bar. I guess it kind of makes.
Well, and the other thing is, if you change anything's health really rapidly, it will either teleport them or just like
that was
put
so
them off
close.
screen. When it's absolute like that, it does less nuanced, arguably. Anyway, that's very, very close.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out exactly where I need to bind this block from so that I can step off and have a second. So that I got to step
ChocolateCollie, you were
off.
the one who changed the spawn position for this level too.
Did I
Because
change
we wanted to make, because you used to start on the left side, and it was a lot harder because you had to go to the other side and realize that you had to like link it up, right? We started you on the right side at least this time. Because this is one I designed, and then ChocolateCollie went back and made it not terrible because it used to be a lot tighter.
Okay, I think I've got the right idea here, and then I've got to tie its health to my X, and then... Man, that is really tricky. I do appreciate the hint that I was supposed to be using the mechanic from the previous level, because I did not realize that. Okay, well, I'll move on. Oh, actually, I mean... I don't actually have any other questions other than the shout-out, but if anyone in chat has any questions to ask, now is the time to do it. I do think it's cool that there's some mention from Dragonazer and Dr. Tronic about making cool art in MS Paint. If you guys still have any examples of art that you want, I don't know, I'm kind of curious to see fractal art made in MS Paint. That sounds neat. So I don't know, maybe I'll be able to do it, maybe I won't. But if you have any other shout-outs to other people or projects, then now is the time to mention it.
Shout-outs to my brother, who, because the last day I slept in a little longer than I had anticipated to, and he came and woke me up, and it was like, hey, the rest of the team needs you, because my alarm clock broke conveniently on the last day of the jam when I needed to be up doing level designing. So he saved the day.
Bro, it was rough trying to do all that stuff alone. Like Paris and Collie had me in the sweatshop, man.
Yeah, I feel bad about that. I was supposed to get up like an hour earlier than I actually did. Right.
Yeah, like the final morning was, it almost turned out bad because I realized like my music was like kind of broken too. Like it was like really quiet, and also the loop was like broken for like the first time it plays. I think there's like some other problems too, but I
there
can't
are some
remember.
weird errors we had like at the literal last second that we had to patch on. That happens every time, you know, that's the game jam experience. You have crunch time. But you know, in the end we ended up having a product, and there was a few things like in the actual build, like, you know, you could see kind of some of the push glitchiness that we fixed. But I think now we're pretty happy with the product. There was a few things that we would have liked to maybe have looked into a bit more. Like it would have been interesting to have an area where like connections are inverted, so you could have a crate move down and move your Y up, stuff like that. But we ain't get around to doing that quite. Didn't quite have enough time for that. I don't know. We probably aren't gonna add any mid-year updates from what we have right now. We don't think. Maybe a level here or there if we feel particularly inspired, but I mean, I don't know about the rest of the team, but I think we're pretty happy with the product as it is right now.
Yeah.
That
I
seems
think
okay.
like, I mean, the final release, I wouldn't say that like it's impossible, like a full release, but I'd say it's right now we're not planning on doing it anytime soon.
Yeah, for the first.
Yeah, we have like a lot of
year,
other
this is the
ideas we want to
final version of the
pursue.
other game. We
Um,
may come back to this at some point.
Oh, you were so close.
This is really tough.
If you wanna, you basically have the solution. If you wanna move on for the sake of the stream, you can press P to skip the level.
The last level is really cool.
I wish I'd
It's
known
my
that
favorite level
a
in the
while
game.
ago. Okay, I mean, like, I'm gonna give this one more attempt here, and then yeah, like, having it figured out. Darn it, oh, God, it's really hard to execute on. Okay, here we go. Last level, or is this the last level, or the just?
So close.
Okay.
This is the last level.
All right, this is the
Okay.
last level. This one's my favorite. I think Mark Brown had a different favorite, but this one's my favorite.
Okay.
I don't know if Mark made it to this one.
I mean, you probably just only played
Because
through like
when I first
a little
watched the
bit,
video, I thought
but-
he was referring to this level because I thought for sure this is the most clever one in the game, but it turns out ChocolateCollie's level ended up getting that award, huh?
the unintentional solution probably too.
Yeah, he probably even used the unintentional solution.
Oh boy. Okay.
This one's really clever.
So, mushrooms have binary health, and I need to. Okay. I see another opportunity where I need to like shoot myself through here. So what happens if I connect my Y to its health? Not enough.
And remember, there's a reason why you have health in this level.
Yeah.
That's the cool new mechanical twist.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think you kind of give me some hint here as to what I need to do. Oh, wait. Oops. Well, that was interesting. I killed the mushroom, but I didn't die. Or, like, I don't know. It was unusual.
Like died, except there's a weird animation glitch.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it was gonna make me immortal if I the marker I had my health linked to it. You are alive, therefore I should be alive. That's what I'm calling. No fair. Okay. I need to make an emote for this or something, but like I am now dedicating 100% focus to game. I'm going to be a bad streamer here. So if there's any other anecdotes about the game that you'd like to share, or about the development process, I'm going to tune everything else out and just try to solve this.
You got this.
I don't know. I think to anybody who's looking to get into game jamming, it really is like something anybody can do. Like this is literally our second or first jam. Like,
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to try this stuff, it's really not as hard as it looks. I know making something in 2 days sounds crazy, but especially if you just do some practice beforehand, maybe make just some sample scripts that.
You cut out.
Oh, sorry. If you make some sample scripts that you can kind of throw in as needed, and just get good at programming, like in monogame or whatever, make some nice scripts that, no matter what you end up making, would be really nice to have. Like a simple animator, a simple this or that. It makes it a lot easier when it comes time to do these things. That a lot of the heavy lifting programming is already done, right? You kind of just need to string them together and add your original mechanic, and your golden, and that's kind of that's how all the game jams do it. You gotta practice beforehand, just like any sport, and then you can perform really well when it comes to game day. And you got it.
Was that actually the intended solution?
Yeah.
It could have been easier. You could have just
the idea is that you can
that was the
revive
intended
yourself.
solution.
You can give yourself health back, right, even after you're dead, which I think is a really cool twist in that last level. But yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
This is ChocolateCollie's fault.
Also, open up your connections overlay in this final level.
Oh
You
boy.
can connect anything.
Yeah, we decided to put a little sandbox level in case anybody wanted to mess around with whatever a little bit more.
I would suggest connecting everything to nearly everything else. Just
try and break the game. Try and break the game as a challenge, because I don't think anyone's done it yet.
Has anybody actually? Well, I don't know if the unintended solutions count as that. No one's gotten a crash or anything. I'm pretty sure.
That's surprising.
I tried to crash the game in this sandbox level one time, but no, it actually handles it pretty well.
Yeah, it's good because all it's doing is just transferring. All the stuff is going everywhere.
I mean, I found one super minor glitch where there's 2 health bars, but you can't even see the second one because it's behind the first one.
Oh, actually, I think that might have just been a rendering error. I think I made the health bar just a little bit too tall, so it was protruding from the top.
That's probably it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess to anybody who's thinking about it, just get a team and try your hand in it because you never know.
I think didn't this latest GMTK game jam also have a team finding tool?
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Oh yeah, we did not. We kind of just know each other from other reasons, but there is definitely a way you could always find different people if you need specifically a musician or specifically an artist. I think what our strength in a lot of game jams has just been the overall ranking, just because our team is so well-rounded with, we have one dedicated artist, a dedicated musician, and makes it all our games we end up making are pretty well-rounded in terms of rankings.
And we're just very lucky too, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think this counts as breaking the game, but I did just press P on the last level and it took me to an empty screen.
Yeah.
That is definitely it is a blank level.
Mm-hmm. We don't
Looks
have
nice.
any more levels after that last one.
What even happens in code when that happens? I thought I just made it go it does the transition, but it never untransitions, so it's just a black screen. At some point, it must have changed though.
Yeah.
There's no transition when you press P, so.
Oh right, yeah. If you did actually win the last level, there would be a transition, right?
If you win, if you somehow win the last level.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for playing and interviewing us, and for the people watching, feel free to DM me on itch. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I have my Twitter on there, so if you have any questions about anything or about the jam.
Yeah, I don't think
Treaty's our community manager.
Yeah, I'm the de facto marketing guy.
Thank you, Ian. Paris, excuse me.
I guess that's my name on the itch page too, but
yeah, so it's probably okay, but
every other person's name is strictly confidential. So
yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, again, thank you all so much for joining me on the call, and congratulations on making the GMTK Top 20. This has been a lot of fun. Went a lot longer than I was expecting necessarily, but I guess that's what happens when you have a full 4 developers on a call. And a very tricky puzzle game that I have to really focus to actually get through. But I'm glad that I made it through. In the end, still having to skip one of the levels. So it's not a true victory, but nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was really cool.
So yeah, if you have any other projects that you'd like to have featured on the stream, then always feel free to reach out. That goes to, do you all tend to work together, or do you sometimes work in smaller subgroups or with other people?
all been mostly together. We all have our own individual projects, but at least for game jams, we all.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we intend to in the future. So
Oh yeah, this isn't gonna be the last of us. You know, we're gonna keep at the game jam thing and keep probably gonna try the Ludum Dare when it comes up. This,
39 in October, I think.
Yep, that's right.
yeah, looking forward to it.
It's nice. Well, yeah, whether it's a jam project or a other long-term project that you just want to chat about design-wise, I'm always happy to have people on stream and just talk through design and be a sounding board for ideas. Maybe if there's anything you're particularly not sure about how something's gonna jive design-wise, we can chat through it. So, yeah. Thanks again for being on the call, and have a good evening.
I want to plug my SoundCloud in the chat real quick.
Oh, absolutely.
There we go.
Please do.
There's the soundtrack. What if you guys want to take a listen? But yeah, thanks. It was really fun watching you play too. It's a really
Yeah, it's always
fun game
a
to.
great design exercise just to watch
Yeah.
people play the game, see all the unintended solutions you pick up
Yeah,
on.
it's such a pleasure to see people solve levels in unintended, clever ways.
Absolutely. Any other quick links anyone else wants to plug before we wrap things off?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good evening, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Yeah.
You as well.
See you.
Have a good
Bye.
one.
You too.